Hey everybody, it's your girl Nefarious, and it's been a minute since I've done a sew along, but I am bringing it back for 2026 with the Burt Mini. The Burt Mini is a really adorable crossbody. It measures about 15 inches tall. It's 7 inches from side to side and about 5 inches in diameter. When you open up the Burt Mini, it is super roomy and spacious. You can be all kinds of creative up in here, and I am all for it. We go through attaching D-rings for it. This I would rate a intermediate. Unfortunately, I would rate this an intermediate, and the only reason I do it is because of this bottom. The rest of this bag, super easy, super basic. You know, everybody could do this type of thing. It's just right here, it gets a little intermediate. So maybe an adventurous beginner. So we are going to go ahead and jump right in and make our Burt Minis. All right, general tools that I am going to be using include my awl, some double-sided tape. I've got multiple sizes here. I've got 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 inch. I've got marking tools. I've got various ones. I've got a pair of snips. I've got an X-Acto knife. I've got a turning tool. I've got my lighter, just in case. A ruler. This is from More Me Know. I've got my rivet guide. Got my hole punch. And I've got my clips just in case. I kind of was like, I'm missing something here. These are my general tools that I'll be using throughout my video. All right, so for the Burt Mini, we are going to need 2 zipper pulls, 2 1-inch D-rings, and then you are going to want about 16 3/4 inch zipper tape. That's your basic hardware. Then what you're going to want to do is get your pieces. So you're going to have an external top and a lining. As always with all of my videos, make sure that you are using your external pieces as templates to cut the lining, because as you can see, sometimes in the washing it can cause a little bit of finaggle. This will all disappear in the seam allowance, so you won't even see it. So just make sure that you're using your exteriors as the templates to cut these out. So you need your top and its matching lining. You're going to need 2 D-ring connectors. You have 2 side pieces and 2 interior lining pieces that correspond. You need a gusset exterior and a gusset lining. You need your back and front that also has corresponding lining pieces as well. And then you will have a bottom piece and a bottom lining. So you know this is a Nefarious video. I like to do a bunch of things before going to my sewing machine so that we can kind of, you know, get all done at one time. So that's what we are going to do. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my edges. So what you want to do is, move out of the way, take your edge and line up your sides here. And then you're just going to clip and place. And you're going to do that for all 4. So it'll look like this. Set that to the side. Do the same thing on your lining. And then you will also set that to the side. You're going to take your zipper and you're going to go ahead and thread your zipper pulls on it. You're going to put one on from each direction. Then you are going to take your gusset exterior and you're going to put it right side to the zipper teeth, and you're going to clip that down. Then you're going to take the matching lining, and you're going to do the same thing, except it's going to be right side to the back of the zipper teeth. Then you're going to repeat for the other side. And you can set that to the side. We can take our side lining interiors and we can put them right sides together. And go to the side. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can use any kind of stabilizer you like. I'd recommend using something firm on the exterior if you really want it to stand up nice and tall. I'm not using that stabilizer. Like a foam would be really nice to make it good and sturdy. But for your D-rings, you would probably want to use something like a Profuse Stiff or a Decaville Light, just to give them a little bit of security. And that would measure about 3/4 of an inch wide and roughly about 3 inches or so in length if you wanted to add those. So I would go ahead and add them before you do this next step. Once you get your stabilizer, if you're using it attached, you're going to want to find your center line. And then you're going to use double-sided tape. And then you're going to remove the backing and then fold the edges to the center. And then these are going to go to the sewing machine. So at this point, if you haven't done so for the remaining pieces, go ahead and find your centers on the exterior sides and the exterior bottom and interior bottom, because we will be touching those when we come back. But going to the sewing machine, you're going to take your 2D rings. You're going to take your entire clipped lining that we have. You're going to take your zipper gusset that we've got clipped and ready to go. You're going to take your exterior hood, and we are going to take our interior hood. So at this point, we are ready to go to our sewing machine. I'm going to start with the D-rings. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance going all the way around. These can be put to the side for now. Then I'm going to work on my zipper gusset. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides, flip it out and top stitch it. While I'm doing that, I'm also going to base stitch the edges together so that it'll be easier to put this bag together later. So now I can set this to the side, clean up some of my loose strings here. I'll work on the interior lining. I'm going to do all 4 sides here. I'm going to backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. Going from top to bottom. Now here is an option. You don't have to do it, but it is an option. Since we do bind this bag, this has a funky bottom, as you might have already guessed. So when we turn the bag out to bind it, it gets a little tricky to poke those holes. So if you wanted to leave like just a little bit so that you can get your hands in there to poke the legs out, that would work too. It's not going to affect the structure of the bag at all. Or you can add a zipper pocket or something like that, just so that you can get in there and like smooth out the legs. Entirely up to you. You don't have to do that at all. It's just an idea. I have some of those sometimes. I'm nefarious. I'm a little crazy. As you see, I did go ahead and leave a side hole so I can poke my legs out, but you can do whatever you would like to do. So I'm going to set that to the side. Now I'm going to work on the, I don't know what we want to call this, the hood, the helmet, the top, whichever. This is the interior. You're going to sew this at 1/4 inch, and you're going to do the exact same thing for all 8 points. And then just like we did on the exterior, I'm going to find my centers, because these are going to be our location marks so that we can put the lining and the exterior together. Lining, and I'm going to flip it right side out. And I'm going to put my hat inside. And then I'm going to line up all of those location marks we just made, like so. And I'm going to clip those together. Now, at our seams, you're going to want to butterfly those, so you're going to want the seams to go opposite directions. But first, clip your landmarks. Now what you're going to do here is we are going to base stitch these two together 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So after that, you're going to want to grab your zipper gusset, and you're going to want to find your centers. To do that, take your back gusset piece here and line up your edges here, and you're going to want to fold and then take your top and bottom centers there, and then fold out on the zipper. Now you can do a snip or you can mark, whatever you feel comfortable with, but you got to mark your centers here. If you cut it, singe it, because I don't know, I don't want to risk my nylon zipper coming undone. So I like to make sure if I cut my zipper tape, I singe it good. All right, now you are going to want to make sure your right sides go against your right sides. And I'm going to have the top be the front of the bag. So with that said, I want to make sure that my zipper goes against that. So I'm going to line my zipper up with that. And then I will match up my side points here. I'm going to match up my landmarks that I cut out. Once you get your landmarks in place, you can start clipping all the way around. Once you've gone around and you have clipped it, then we are going to turn around and we are going to base it on at 1/8 of an inch, and then we're going to be able to bind it on. So we can make sure we get those rounded corners, go through and round off those corners really good. Then you're going to want to grab your bias tape. Now this could be whatever you want to use. It could be, if you prefer olefin or waterproof canvas or what have you. This is entirely up to you. I prefer to use this double fold bias. It's 1/2 inch width. I got it off Amazon. And then I'm going to go around and I'm going to sew this at 1/4 of an inch stitch. Alright, so I want this to fold away from the zipper. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use clips to help train it to go away from the zipper. Now, small confession, what I like to do is, since I'm training this binding and this vinyl, I do like to hit it with just a small burst of heat so it forces this vinyl to heat up, and then I will set it to the side so it can cool down, and that helps train it to stay where it is. So I'm going to do that, set it aside, and we are done with this piece until we are ready for final construction. So, woohoo! So we're back at the table, and I have our sewed up lining. And what you're going to want to do is grab your lining bottom, and we didn't talk about this, but you're going to want to find the centers on all your bottoms. So go ahead and pause and do that. So you found your centers on your bottoms, your tops. Just go through and make sure you found all your centers. Don't be like Nefarious. And you're going to want to line up your landmarks. This is going to be weird and awkward. So just kind of lean into it. We're here for it. And then once you get your landmarks clipped, just choose one of the center pieces here and just kind of start clipping. Clip, 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 clip. Corners in. So just kind of fold the corners in, and it also helps push it up a little bit. I gotta fix. There you go. So it kind of looks like the bag, when you stand it up, it looks like it's standing up on its own. All right, so for right now, I can set this to the side. So I'm going to grab my D-rings, and I'm going to find my silver marking pen. It's here. It is, haha. And I'm going to flip these over, and I'm going to make a mark about halfway. I'm going to do that on both of them. Then I'm going to use some double-sided tape. And come on now. Okay, and I'm going to take this end and I'm going to line it up with that mark I made, like so. And I'm going to repeat over here. Then I'm going to grab another piece of tape. I'm going to use a skinnier version now. Alright. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to take this off. But before I fold this over, I'm going to slide a D-ring on. And then I'm going to line this up so it looks like this. And I'm going to repeat. Okay, now you're going to want to get your sides. Make sure you have found the center on the top, and you're going to measure about 1.5 inches down. Gonna want another piece of tape. Place it on the back. And you're going to line that up right there and give that a press. Set that to the side, do it again. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to get that off. You're going to want to measure from the top. You're going to want to measure about 1/2 inch down. Make a slight mark. And then from there, you're going to want to measure about, what is that, 1.25 inches, and make a mark there. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew a box that connects those two lines, and that will secure this flap down. So one more time, you're going to, at the top here, measure down 1/2 inch, make a mark, measure down 1.25 inches, make a mark, and then we are going to take that to the machine and we are going to sew that down. Now you can also add a rivet there if you want, but that is entirely up to you. So 1/2 inch, 1.75, 1/2 inch, 1.75, and we are going to connect those. Wow, Nefarious. So we're taking those to the machine. We're taking that to the machine, and we will be ready to go. By that, I mean our lining. So let's go. We're going to start with our lining. So I recommend that you take your time, use your stiletto, breathe, maybe grab a shot of something. I am going to sew with the bottom up so I can make these curves, but you do you. Okay, so here is our lining. can see we've got a nice stand up, so I can set this to the side for right now. I'm going to do 1/8 of an inch. You can do 1/4 of an inch, but that's entirely up to you. It's how you... So again, I went across my 1/2 inch mark. I went across my 1.75 inch. I made a box. Like, I sewed it 1/8 of an inch, but you could totally sew it 1/4 inch. You can add a rivet, whatever you want to do, but this is good and secure. That is not coming off, and you can't see your seam. And you've got that good and secure. That's not coming off. So I'm going to repeat for the other one. I don't know, I kind of like that one better. You choose, up to you, and a rivet or two. Can't wait to see what you guys do with that. That'll be cool. All right, back to the table. Home stretch, everybody. Well, kind of. We'll be back at the table one more time, maybe two. So what we need to do is just like we did with the lining, we want to make sure our rings go toward the top. So you're going to put right sides together, and then you are going to clip in place. Now I'm going to take this to the machine and I'm going to sew it 1/4 inch on all 4 sides. Make sure you backstitch really good at the beginning and the end on all 4 sides. Alright, so here this is. I'm going to go back to the table. So you should have already found your centers on the bottom. And you should have already found your centers on this bottom piece. So what we need to do is, just like the lining, we need to line up those landmarks first. Alright, so when you are pinning this together, you are going to want to force these in so that you don't have so much extra, and that also helps it stand up. You don't want it to be just kind of moseying around there. So like you can see here, I've got like a whole bunch just kind of standing here. What we're going to do is I'm going to force that into that corner. Like so. Just going to keep pushing and then clipping. Now I was debating if I wanted to break out the stapler on this. Still debating, because I could see how this could get a little tricky just as is. But by pushing it in like that, you can kind of see it's already doming. I don't know. It's doming really well, and that's what we want. So we're going to take this to the machine. I'm going to sew it at 1/4 of an inch. If you are worried about struggling, go ahead and give this a quick run around with the staples, but staple at in 1/8 inch so that you're not sewing on your seam, or so that you're not sewing on staples. Go around and staple at 1/8 of an inch. So fun fact, Nefarious is not one of those patient people who can handle clips. So I went and gave myself the staples in the 1/8. So now I'm going to try to go around and sew this at 1/4 inch. That was fun. Here we go. I want to sew this with... Alright, I'm going to sew with the bottom up. There is no mummy. Alright, so I've got the bottom facing up, and now I'm going to sew around at 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Alright, once you do that, if you use staples, pull them out now. Alright, so if you have made it, nope. If you have made it this far, we have our body exterior and our body lining. So just like we did with the top, you're going to want to flip this inside out. Or I'm sorry, right side out, I guess. And then we are going to slide this exterior inside, matching up our landmarks at the top so we can baste them together. Are all matched up. Everything is as it should be. We're going to go around. We are going to baste this together. If you have not already, go ahead and turn this right side out. So I'm going to take all my clips off. So there's what that's at right now. What we are going to do is, obviously you're going to want to watch your artwork. I'm going to line the gusset with the back of the bag, right sides together. And I'm going to line up my landmarks. Like we did before. And then I'm just going to clip all the way around. Once you have it all clipped together, we are going to sew this on at 1/8 of an inch. Make sure you back stitch really good. I will be using my stiletto to kind of make sure that it's staying in place as I go around. Oh, and the zippers, you're going to want to move those too as you sew so that they don't cause any kind of wibble wobble. Yes, that's a word. I'm making all scientific words today. Now what I will do is I will clean this up a little bit before I attach my binding, because I've got a lot of like loose like threads. I want to kind of burn that up a little bit, and then I'm going to attach my binding. So let me clean this up and then I'll be back to attach my binding with you. Home stretch, everybody. Well, unless you did the whole and then, you know, kind of almost the home stretch. So I'm attaching the binding just like we did for the first part. Once you get your binding on, I'm going to sew this at 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Back stitching really good at the beginning and the end. Clean up some strings here. So I've said this in a couple of my other videos, being that this bag is vinyl and waterproof canvas, this is going to be fun to turn out. So what I will do is I am going to heat this bag up and then I will turn it out. Going to make sure I open it all the way up. So you do get a nice decent hole. But so I can not have to like sit here and like fight this bag nonstop. I will heat it up, and then I will be back to turn it out with you. It's a little warm, so I'm gonna push it through. Look how nice that goes when it's all nice and warmed up. Oh my goodness. So here's where I was talking about if you didn't leave a hole or whatever, it might take you some time to get those legs out, but I left a hole, so I can stick my hand in there and poke those legs out, no problem. Oh, hello, I am your friend. Yeah. You gotta forgive Nefarious. She's a little sleep tired. Poking my legs all the way out. Rah, rah. Then I will go ahead and pull this out really quick so I can close it up. I don't know, I kind of recommend doing the hole on the side, but if you want to do a zipper pocket or however you want to do it, that is entirely up to you. I'm going to close this up, trim my strings, I'm going to push this in, into the leg holes I go. Make sure that looks all fun. All right, are we ready? Now, finally, if you want, you could absolutely do the training method here as well. In fact, I probably should. And all that is just taking some clips, folding your seam down like so, and then just kind of letting it sit for a little while, like overnight maybe, and then like I said earlier, what I do is if I'm a little crunched on time, I will go and I'll heat the bag up and then let it cool down completely. And that kind of shaves off a little bit of time. So, and then as you can see, that pushes the binding completely out of the zipper tape. So let that kind of train for a little bit and I'll come back and we'll finish this all up. So after I've got the training all finished, here she is. Pretty decent sized bag still. So awesome. I hope you have enjoyed sewing along with me as we made the Burt Mini. It is a unique and fun crossbody that's got this really different kind of box shape. It's going to stand up like this. It's fun, it's different, it's going to be extra roomy and spacious that you can add some zipper pockets or some slip pockets. You can go all in on this. It could be like a diaper bag or a camera bag or, you know, a U bag. It's all about you, so make it all about you. It does measure 15 tall, 7 wide, 5 in diameter. I use 2 zipper pulls on this, 2 1-inch D-rings, and if you wanted to, you could make this into a mini backpack where you would just attach the webbing here. We did not go into that on this video, but if you wanted something like that, you would just attach the webbing right in here when you are assembling it. Alex and Kim are going to have some really cute artwork for this, and I can't wait for you all to see it. In fact, I can't wait to see all of your makes out in the wild. So when you are posting them, make sure you're tagging K&A Custom Fabrics and your girl Nefarious. If you like this content, please make sure you like and subscribe. And for now, ta-ta, and I'll see you all around.